Hey, heroes.
OWCS Stage 3 group, Stadium 4 in full swing, and we are about to dive into the second match of the NA region. I'm joined by Matt and Jake. You should just always do that for an intro. Why am I?
That's how I talk in real life. That's how my friends.
That's you on a plate.
Yeah. Hey, heroes.
Yeah, you should go work in sales. Just be like, yeah,
hey. I'd buy that vacuum cleaner off of you. It's not.
I would.
Yeah.
I could sell vacuum cleaners.
No question.
That's up next.
And that's up next. That's the pipeline of esports. Well, that's where we are. Anyway, brackets. Let's take a look at brackets and not that far into the future. There we go. Group D bracket. We're heading on to Group D. Nightmare already through. A very swift 3-0 victory in both of their games. Now the decider match will be between Timeless and X. The loser match now on the horizon. Team Z. I stick with it because I'm not American. And Fries in the bag. One of those two teams will be facing off against Timeless today. Let's look at those two teams in question. There's a few names you might recognize here on this team for sure. I'm most familiar, oddly enough, with Talisman, who actually he was playing the Overwatch World Cup for Team Puerto Rico. Hanbei, of course, has also been around for some time. Actually, a funny story. Hanbei listed, we sent out questionnaires for these matches and for these teams, and has his biggest achievement. He listed that he defeated San Francisco Shock. Now, I am really not entirely sure when that happened. He played for Altiora, Trick Room, Rift, and a bunch of other teams. I am not aware that either of them has beaten the San Francisco Shock. I'm not calling him a liar. I'm just asking questions.
I mean, you're insinuating it, though. You're not calling Hanbei a liar, but you're implicating.
What have I missed then?
that there is a potential lies on the resume. I will not question the resume. I will just blindly trust. But for Fries in the bag, there's a lot of players that we've seen over the years, right? I know Nas, Cry, Onion, so very good roster. Goldfish as well.
Yeah, Fizz and Nas, I think there's a strong DPS line. Interested to see if they play Lucio Mercy. That would go crazy. Be surprised, but anything's possible.
Anything is possible.
Is it?
In the world of Overwatch.
Maybe Lucio Mercy may not be possible.
There's a lot of veteran players on this team, so I think if we were to look at Paul, I am almost certain that they should be considered the favorite. I'd be shocked if not. Actually, this is so much closer than I would have ever expected, and I am low-key disappointed because I'm extremely... so very biased for anything Anyan is playing in. So, community, I'm disappointed. Matt,
I think this is going to be a close match. Actually, I think these teams actually are quite similar in strength. I don't think there is a clear favorite.
It shows the strength of an incredible name as well. If you have a name like Fries in the bag, you're going to acquire some fans.
I love Jake's interpretation.
Blind fandom.
Jake, do you want to share with class?
I assume the name is a joke about being unemployed and working at a fast food restaurant, but
that's not even if you're
employed.
I guess that means you're employed. I'm sorry, you're employed at a fast food restaurant.
Anyway, let's get the show going. Let's get it on the road, guys. Please take it away.
Tower.
Yeah, Jake and I were supposed to be the serious ones, and all of a sudden it's gotten, we've traveled to outer space,
Matt and I have a reputation for being very serious, very stead, very demure, very mindful, very cutesy.
Yeah, Jake's big on TikTok, so he's just giving me all the knowledge about what's going on. I'm just like... I'm just kind of old over here in my little corner.
Just be more demure, Matt. That's the number one thing you need to know right now. Demure, all right?
I heard about that one. Okay,
let's go. You're in the know. As we load in here, curious to see what console will run. It was maybe a little bit of a May rush, a classic. Both teams running a May Control Center.
All right.
I've seen the May on Control Center.
This is such a very, we are far away from what we just watched, right? I know a lot of Winston-based kind of compositions. Orisa Ramatra with the May. I do think the Hanzo is quite interesting. We've seen a little bit more Hanzo play here throughout Stage 3. Just really strong at bursting characters down, especially even some of those squishies from a distance.
Yeah, it can be powerful, especially with an Amp Matrix, but definitely an odd choice. I think the Ashe has just been a lot more popular. The Ultimate especially is such a huge difference maker. Great wall from Nas, though, cuts off the Orisa. She's forcing a ton of cooldown. See if Xcal can turn it. Doesn't find anything. Both teams sustaining. Super Ball on point, but Painkiller dropping so low. Supports are doing everything, trying to keep him alive.
Yes, a really nice wall there from Nos. Gonna, block. Look like Painkiller from getting back to the rest of the team is Fries in the bag. It looks like they will take the first fight, a very drawn out first fight. But I think, like you mentioned, especially when you're playing this Orisa, like you're trying to push up around this Orisa, the Ashe Dynamite can just be such a nuisance to deal with, right? It's like, it's not really like a major kind of threat, right? But when everybody's taking ticking damage, like it extends the healing resources just a little bit. It's a nice Maywall there from Peace, just trying to get the team up closer to the point a little bit safer.
Yeah, both teams with an Amp Matrix to open. It's blocked by Nas, but they're just going to break that Maywall and continue to pour through the damage from the front line. Mailed Force is probably going to be zoning away, and Painkiller, the fort just ending. It's not quite enough to get the kill. It is, though.
That is a long-range blizzard as well there from Nos, just kind of thrown in around the corner, playing on the point. And Fries in the bag, you're actually able to hold on to your Annihilation here. So, hold on to the Annihilation. I think the Ashe, like, you could kind of, like, maybe kind of talk me into, like, Hanzo a little bit. I think the Ashe definitely wins against the Cassidy, though, especially, like, being able to kind of, like, outrange the Cassidy. And then also just kind of, the consistent damage over time. I think the Deadeye also not as valuable as the Bob. It's going to be Bob that comes in early on.
Yeah, it's going to open the fight up. Peace dies, though. That was your mail. That was what you needed. Now you're about to get caught. Enemy mail. It's a perfect wall. You're all trapped. You're trying to break the wall. And I think we may see a spawn push here. Fries in the bag. Making a cautious choice. I actually don't mind this. The enemy Mei is respawning with ult. You don't want to overextend and throw away your advantage. But Team Z are really on the back foot here as retaking with the mail and the B. It's just not great ults for pushing forward and entrying. It's going to have to be that, though. Mail comes down, but only Krawi gets frozen. He gets saved by the beat from Yumitra. Better beat from Len, but very early, very, very defensive beat, honestly. They're not even really pushing in. You're gonna Cassidy speedwalks out of the blizzard. He's fine, don't worry.
He uses his Deadeye and just run out of the blizzard there. If that's the value getting out of the Deadeye, it is a rough round as the kills will just kind of continue here. 4 Fries in the bag as this is a really strong showing from them here on our first point.
Yeah, I mean, just a stable, straightforward gameplay from Fries in the bag, doing what they need to do. I think Team Z just kind of overcooked that one. I mean, the Hanzo Orisa, it's more of a poke comp, really, right? It's more of a long-range damage dealer. And when you're up against a Brawl that's just sitting on the point, Maywalling you when you come through the choke, hard to find those angles on Hanzo. You need to take space, and you're tanking Dynamites, and Orisa needs a million heals from BAP. Nobody else can get heals, so it's going to be a huge change-up. Both teams going to swap, and honestly, Fries in the bag, I like what they're running here, right? With the Symmetra, it's a classic map for Mei Sim, getting onto the point over and over again, forcing the objective. And Team Z, I mean, if they run
there's no way
Reaper, right? Echo, Diva, I would love it, but I won't understand it, man. I won't understand it. Are they actually gonna roll out? Oh my god, it's real. It's so real. When the Reaper comes out.
All right,
OP, Matt.
I mean, the fact that you laughed as you were saying Reaper is OP. I mean, he's got an awesome.
Wait, he's owning. Reaper's owning. Not really. he did go for 1 second.
2 shotgun shots, and you're like, oh, look at the Reaper! And
I'm so desperate for Reaper to be good, man. Oh, but hold on, the Echo turns it around, finds a kill. They're gonna try and re-push through. Reaper gonna bust through these tanks. Oh, TP straight to the backline. He's on top of the Sim. She's defenseless. He's gonna fight it out. His team comes in. The Reaper guy, his special move very impressive. He's in. They win the first fight. And it's good.
Well, it's actually a huge play there from Excal, right? You got to put a lot of pressure on that Sim to get rid of the Sim, because the Sim is just gonna chunk down the Diva, right? And a head-on-head battle where Fries in the bag has to make some changes. It is an odd composition. Reaper Echo, you wouldn't really kind of say work together, even Reaper Tracer, right?
Reaper
those lines of Reaper's in a tough spot now.
Oh boy, he gets caught out of the Maywall, and now you're just capping the point. Well played, Fries in the bag, forcing the defenders to come to them. Biz is just uncontested on the flank here, and I think the Tracer is a great counter pick. It just dominates Reaper. You just kite Reaper forever. You can never really get on top of you. Excal feels it as well. Back to the Tracer in a more conventional style. Nas, though, huge pick onto the Echo from the low ground as Mei, and they smell the blood in the water. Fries in the bag, charging forward, cleaning up absolutely everyone, and I mean, Team Z, they might have won a fight, but it is kind of all falling apart for them now.
So Team Z wins at the beginning with the Reaper. What do you think is the idea from them there at the start to kind of come
honestly,
out like
I cannot explain the Reaper pick, man.
There's some things that are unexplainable.
That is chaotic. There's a chaotic energy to pick Reaper.
Yeah.
But they've now they're on a normal comp. I mean, now I honestly like the Echo maybe a little bit more than the Mei. With Lucio and Kiri on the field, it can be really hard for something like a Blizzard to actually freeze anybody. Peace as well, gonna open it up. Double Ramatra. Is this enough? They're swarming over the wall. This is really well played. Bat window not gonna really be able to find any value with 2 Ramatras running you over.
Annihilation in beat though. This is gonna be huge though for Fries in the bag.
Yeah, every ult being deployed on the point, and the Mei ult does find a connection, finds 2 at that, but Peace still alive, still able to potentially clutch this out, and a double boop from Len. Disgusting play on the Lucio, swarming over the top of Fries in the bag. And I mean, this is the power of the Lucio and the Kiri. When you get into a chaotic fight and you're swarming on top of each other, you're just so effective on the Kiriko. Whereas Baptiste, he wants things to be a little bit more straightforward, a little bit more front to back. Nas is going to keep the Mei, which is sort of interesting for me. I mean, you don't have a conventional answer to the Echo, which would be a hit scan here. Feeling like maybe you're going to get run over playing hit scan, but it's going to mean Pieces has a lot of space to work with, and you know, Biz has to worry about the other Tracer. So honestly, Echo could really get a lot done here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, typically, like, a Tracer's always been pretty good against the Echo. Is Nas actually end up using the Ice Block here, tries to use a Mei wall, actually, tries to, like, you know, block themselves off. Actually, I think just blocks the Pulse Bomb there. May have been just kind of inadvertent, but ends up working out. But it'll be Fries in the back working their way onto the point. Wow, they just push all the way into the back, and they take out Hanbei.
Yeah, it does cost them Annie, though it's a very scrappy engagement. Both teams trading backline. HP bars low on both sides. Going to come down to the individual kills here, but Peace finds Krawi. The Echo finding Purchase, trying to come back for a pack. That's a great decision here, stabilizing the team fight, and this should be a round for Team Z. Biz strikes back onto Len, though, so going to keep things in contention. We should see an overtime touch here, but in the end, Team Z, they're sitting on great ultimates. You're forced to recontest into the Annihilation. It is an unenviable position. Copy as well, duplicate almost online for Peace, 95%. Could be seeing a double Ramatra fight. And Nas, I mean, who do you Blizzard here? There's no obvious target.
Do you just throw the Blizzard in the corner here? You know, everybody's just kind of like grouped up. It looks like gonna just drop the Blizzard middle of the point here. With the Ramatras just using the Annihilation. Painkillers comes out a little bit late. The duplicated one.
Oh my god, double Annihilation!
Point. I mean, this is, and look at them. They're just kind of like running together through the point as you're gonna get the sound barrier now here. Full Fries in the bag, and it's pretty good.
Anion escapes away to the Mega, turns the fight. The double Annihilation can't connect. Great speed boost by Mitra, getting everyone out of what would have been an overwhelming vortex of pain. And it's not enough. I think Team Z had the opportunity to close things out there. They couldn't get it done. However, they've got one more chance with great ultimates.
I mean, they should do it here, right? Cry probably gets the Annihilation here, just kind of off of just some chip damage coming into the point, but Kitsune Rush Sound Barrier, and they have no support ult on the other side. I mean, unless you have a player die really early here, you're in a fantastic spot to win this if your Team Z is... The Team Z, they'll rotate around on the point. Looks like a few players get blocked off here by this Mei wall.
Oh. Hold on, Hanbei goes down. He got the Kitsune off, though. Might just be enough. Len needs to be really grinding it to the edge here. Painkiller got super low. Anion as well, though, does draw Painkiller as well. Traded out, and Krawi. The Annihilation is just enough there. Hanbei dying as he gets the Kitsune rush off. Such a huge pickoff. The Mei really did pay dividends there at the end of the round, right? That Mei wall forced maybe an over-anxious recontest, trying to come in and clutch the fight out, and that cost you players. Where I think you're right. I think they had the ultimates they needed to win that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Kitsune Rush comes down. I think maybe you just kind of like held that beat for maybe a little bit too long, right? I think your Ramatra so low with the Annihilation on the point where Crawley has his going, and it's just getting insane amounts of value. As like you kind of said early on, expected this to be a close series. Pretty close map number 1, the Reaper Echo. We saw that. I mean, that was like a little bit of a crazy kind of competition. I even think it's like a little bit wild that they continue to run the Mei even when the Echo Tracer on the other side, right? Like, it works out in the end, but there was, you know, a minute or two straight where it was really doing nothing. So really interesting map number 1.
Yeah, a lot of confidence, I think, in your Batiste to not run a conventional hit scan. Basically, it's going to be on BAP to fight the Echo in a lot of these close engagements. Nas, I mean, as much as the Mei maybe you could argue for playing a hit scan. Nas did look really good on the Mei, like very consistent, finding walls to split up the enemy team. The ults, I think, are just never going to get consistent value against something like Lucio, Curie, Echo Tracer. It's just like how do you freeze those characters? And then Ramatra getting so many speed boosts from his teammates, getting saved by those supports, you know. So, but you're not really playing Mei, I think, so much for the Blizzard, but it's really for the walls, for separating things, slowing them down, and that also makes Enion have a little bit more space to work with on the Baptiste. So overall, in the end, as much as the Curie is nice in these super aggressive scenarios, I do think Baptiste, just a stronger hero overall, just puts out, I mean, the AoE healing, right? When you're just using your right-click heal and healing like 2 or 3 players at once, it's almost like an ultimate in terms of how much raw healing you're just putting out.
Yeah, exactly. And then take a look, see some of the highlights from round number 2. But I think it's like that last fight, like they potentially had it. But, you know, Painkiller ends up getting onto the point and, you know, takes a ton of damage. And I think Len just trying to hold on to that soundbite maybe for like the perfect moment. But Painkiller doesn't really get like topped up enough where they still kind of focus him down there towards the end. This is a fight, though, that ends up going in way of Fries in the bag. That was a little bit wild there towards the end, and yeah, here's the final moment. So that's going to be the continuing rush used, and look how much damage Painkiller takes here. I mean, just insane amounts. Even the soundbar doesn't really kind of like top them up, and they just end up losing the Ramatra right after this. So puts themselves in a really difficult spot. The value from Crawley's Annihilation is huge there. There'll be Fries in the bag. It takes round number 1. Pretty competitively though. For the first round, a bit of a blowout, but round number 2 pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, Team Z is cooking with some of these comps. Like Rissa, Anzo, Mei is like sort of justifiable, but definitely weird on a map like Control Center that's super short range.
In the lab.
Yeah, and then they play Reaper Echo, which I don't know what lab you're in. I want to try that. Like, let me play some Reaper.
Reaper's like the official, like, you know, once it's like past like 2 a.m. and you're queuing rank, like, Reaper is like it's like the, you know, you're physically playing, but your brain's not really like on. You're just queuing games constantly, and you're like, why is this going poorly? And you don't realize you've been selecting Reaper for the last like hour. That's kind of his special move there. But it ends up, look, Reaper's
they won the fight.
They won the fight, so maybe they're on to something. I want to see the Echo Reaper again.
Maybe there's an idea there, right? Like if you anticipate a sim, you're gonna just try and like swarm over the sim and just like kill the backline in like 1 second and just full commit on Reaper. So it did work. I would rather see like a Genji or something or a Venture to do the same job. But you know what? We got to see the Reaper guy come out. And for that, we're all winners, man.
The one critique I would have is if you're going to rock Reaper today, you've got to rock that new skin, though.
True. It's actually criminal. Although I will say, Elite Reaper skin tech is the Overwatch 1 default Reaper with the gold guns. Goes crazy. The confusing skin tag.
Why is that confusing skin tech?
You got the no skin with the gold guns. I mean, it's just like, you know, it's like, who is this guy? Is he a Reaper mate?
Jake is a default skin user. Overwatch 1 default skin user. Somebody who's not is Juno, because she's new in Overwatch 2. Check out the webcomic.
Hello, my name is Xanthi Huen, and I voice Juno from Overwatch 2. Today I'm reading The Red Promise. Here we go. My parents left Earth on a secret mission, Project Red Promise. They had a dream to expand the reach of humanity. Their work was unprecedented and dangerous, but also important and exciting. Jiayi, I have the latest ionization reports, full of possibilities. Possibilities like me. The first Martian. Well, the only Martian. But I was never lonely. Everyone treated me as if I were their own. Chúc mừng thôi nói. Oh, look at you. Oh, not in your mouth, Juno. The base was never intended for children, but I grew into it. Still, what was inside the base mattered less than what I could see beyond it. Juno, it's not safe! My family came up with an idea. Everyone pitched in to make me a suit of my own. I may not have had a PhD in astrophysics, But I learned a lot from my family. They empowered me to contribute in my own way. It was scary at first, but I loved any excuse to get out onto my home planet. Despite how relentless the work was, try it now! I knew with every problem, we would find a solution. Together. Life on Mars was not always easy. The terraforming project my family worked so hard on changed the Martian atmosphere. The storms grew to be terrifying. Each one was more violent than the last. But my family had given me the tools to overcome anything. I knew that someday, we could overcome this too. We could overcome anything! But then, the company that sent my family to Mars suddenly stopped responding. My family was only ever meant to kickstart Project Red Promise. They had expected a much larger wave of personnel and supplies, but it never arrived. Go back to Earth? Not enough resources for a return journey. How many years can the base hold up against the storms? We need to run full diagnostics. Come up with a plan. They tried to shield me from the fear and anxiety they were feeling, but I could tell we were working with limited time. A few months later, my family brought me to the docking bay. They had used their limited resources to build me a ship of my own, and said it was time for me to chart my own course. But I knew the truth. You want me to leave? They were giving up their hope so that I would have a chance. And I would not accept that. I was angry and scared. Mars was the only home I'd ever known, but my family was my entire world. They taught me that the most frightening challenges are most worth overcoming, and there must be others out there who believe the same. When it was time for me to say goodbye to my family, I told them I would see them again. I know they didn't believe me. It's time, Juno. But I can believe enough for all of us. I must. My parents came to Mars with a dream. To expand the reach of humanity. And now I have a dream. To save my home.
I don't know about you, Jake, but I am learning very much about Juno and the lore. I gotta say that was tough.
I thought you'd be an expert on learning, Matt, given the amount of losing that you do.
I mean, that is not true. I am just straight W's across the board. I'm kind of like fries in the bag, you know. I'm up 1-0 on life.
Up 1-0 on life.
Slowly approaching a 3-0 victory on life. But it'll be Team Z pick here for map number 2. It'll be King's Row. So that'll be fun to see. You know, probably. No, I mean, King's Row offers so much variation in terms of what you can do, right? You can play, you know, some of these like slower base comps, or you can play the Winston if you want to.
It is actually, it's so interesting because, you know, back in the day, we see King's Row, we're like, okay, we're going to see some kind of rush matchup.
Yeah.
But now it really feels like it's the map where anything goes. You know, I think Poke, first and third point, really strong. Sigma, Widowmaker, heroes of that nature. Rush looks great on the map, but so does Winston Dive. I mean, it's kind of a beautiful map in a way, how it's evolved over the years, and now it is really it's kind of the most that map, more than any map in the game, where truly every style is viable, every comp can work. Just how do teams approach it? How do they position their heroes? A lot of creativity involved.
It went from like here's where you just play Reinhardt basically the entire time to now you can play just about anything. Anything works all the time. Oh, Zoe's joining us. Hello.
Hi, Zoe.
Hello. That got really emotional and I asked for support, so I don't have to deal with my feelings about
I'm
us.
not gonna lie, Juno's backstory is like way darker than I realized. It's so hardcore. Like
This feels like Titanic all over again. Like 2 would have fit on that door. I'm pretty sure there was space for more than one person in that little space.
yeah, it's like
a little bit different than the Titanic because the Titanic they only had a few minutes to get the little ships off the boat.
It was hours, but that's okay.
I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, look, I'm not an expert, but I can't imagine
you're
they
not.
built that ship in minutes.
Also, there was nothing. I don't know. Yeah, I just needed to get that off my chest. I'm out again, ready for the game. let's take it away, guys.
Yeah, Juno, very similar to the Titanic.
I mean, Iliari like
Takeaway.
accidentally killed all of her friends and family, but somehow Juno has a darker backstory.
Well, yeah, that one was pretty. Yeah, there's some dark backstories going on now. I mean, these characters they got like there's some sadness going on.
I miss Reinhardt. Like, Charger, his biggest problem is that he likes to pin in, you know? Like,
all his buddies die too.
Yeah, but he was pinning in, you know? It was like he had to hold shield, bro. Like, you know, it's just like ranks. Hold shield, please.
So it's okay because he didn't feel any emotion because he was pinning forward.
That is literally exactly what the Reinhardt's in my game. I'm in the back. Help me, Reinhardt. I'm in the back line. I'm killing them all.
Oh, well, fries in the bag. They will be on defense. First, actually, they're going to keep the May again. So, looks like they're kind of committing to this.
They're going to need their 5th player to pick a hero. The game's about to start.
I mean, that's debatable. You don't really need the Lucio at the start. You kind of wait.
They should be there on time. It should be okay. It's going to be an Echo full dive here, which is interesting choice to bring out the D.Va. I mean, has high ground mobility. Maybe he's pretty good at touching the point. This is going to be the first fight here. Really, it's just a dance of forcing each other to touch the point. And now that Ramatra's dropped, the high ground's open. So Team Z, expect to see them move through the high ground, try and take control. Hard for Ramatra to really do much here. Backline just needs to slip away.
Out. Yeah. So they speed Biz and the supports out of there and like you mentioned, just kind of like rotating around, just trying to get a May wall here as fries in the bag to kind of split one player off. So I know both teams kind of go rounds and around as now they're back pretty much exactly where they started.
Yeah, although the high ground no longer defended by fries in the bag, right? So there's an opportunity for flankers to come in from Team Z. But this passive position in the back of the choke means you kind of only can get to hit Krawi, and he's perfectly happy to tank that aggression on Reinhardt. The dive does come in, the nade connects, and Dimitra is finished off by Xcal Painkiller. Oh, didn't realize I think that the Ash was around that corner. Doesn't get any cleanup frags, and we should see a potential recontest here, right? Only losing the Lucio, already practiced their rollout, coming back super late to the very first fight, and now we're gonna see a potential retake here on the cards. Great Maywall splits off Diana. Wait, Nano Lucio, it's a Boostio!
Oh, it's a boosted Lucio here coming in for Team Z. That'll be a nice immortality field from Onion. Just able to keep a few players alive, just trying to keep Nas up to end up potentially maybe even using this Blizzard, but it's not even needed. Fries in the bag actually just kind of push them back off of the point. Without boosted Lucio, definitely could have hurt Team Z there, right? You get that nano boost onto like the D.Va or even the Echo, right? It could be a completely different fight as they want to get aggressive. Fries in the bag. Look at this Blizzard.
It is going to kill the Ana just before the beat comes down as well. Fries in the bag, that's a very risky move, but it pays off big time. May is stuck, saved though by the drone and the beat as well. It's going to be a big cleanup. Painkiller wants to sort of keep this in contention with the self-destruct, but it's still not going to be enough. And Fries in the bag, I mean, they were sitting back so passively, so patiently for so much of the round, and then they just flip the switch, get super aggressive, and Hanbei, I mean, he's been hitting tons of aggressive bio nades. I think that is a very powerful hero to be playing, and he felt the pressure of that rush and went over to the Kiriko. I think this is maybe a passive decision, right? Like, I think the Ana was a more threatening choice when it comes to those dives with whether it's the Nano or the nade. So to be honest, I think the choice to go Kiri is a questionable one here, as you've got to somehow break over Ramatra. Nade is one way to do that, but I mean, this Ramatra is perfectly happy to just block trade you in the choke.
That's how you do it. The Bob gets onto the point there for Fries in the back, and he keeps it contested for a little bit. So Peace now in a little bit of trouble. Crawley's going to pump the Annihilation and actually going to take out Lin. So right now, you're under a minute on the clock. I mean, this is kind of all falling apart here for Team Z. Is now, look, you have nothing to work with. I mean, this is quite brutal. Nas should be able to build up towards another Blizzard in this next fight. And Fries in the back, they've done a tremendous job holding this high ground.
I will say this is one of the worst comps I can imagine to try to use a Blizzard into, so I'm not too worried for Team Z on that front. As Xcal in the back as well. Formation is getting awkward here for Fries in the back. Ash was not in position, so Nas caught out alone. Misha trades, though, back to the Echo, and Krabi holding the point really well. It's a great immortality field from Anion. The heals coming in, keeping Krabi alive through everything. He's just got a block, but he's swarmed, he's surrounded, and the attackers eventually are going to overwhelm. So the pressure from the flankers ends up being just a little bit too much, but only 2:30 on the clock. And to be honest, second point I think is a strong place for the Ramatra and the Mei.
Yeah, I was gonna say Fries in the back home probably gets better here through the second part of the map, as Biz will actually end up playing a Tracer. So maybe they want to play really close to the choke. Don't really feel like they need that long range damage, but it feels like this composition is going to be better at this point. Specifically kind of with that Mei and Ramatra playing around the chokes, is looks like Crawley and crew will kind of make their way towards potentially taking a little bit of this high ground here.
Yeah, you got to be careful, especially on D.Va, right? If you boost in and then you get caught by that Mei wall, a lot of unblockable damage from Mei and Ramatra that could potentially be breaking the mech. Anion has a lot of pressure on her, though, because I think all the dives are pretty much going to be coming for Batiste, with very few exceptions. Kiri Rush does come out. Crawley just desperately blocking, desperately trying to stay alive. Looks like it might be enough. But it's going to be final fight here on second point. Opportunity for either team to really put a decisive stamp on the map. Fries in the back push forward, but it's so hard to actually catch anything. You are going to be pretty much on the defensive here, running the Mei.
Yeah, it was an Amp Matrix that tried to deter some of the players running through that Kitsune rush. It'll be a duplicate here from Peace. Gonna get that Ramatra out there yet again. It's just gonna back up Fries in the back, giving up some space as a duplicated Annihilation gonna come on through. See, Mitra does have this sound barrier potentially used to try and get aggressive back out onto the cart, but probably wants to hold it to kind of combat the sound barrier that's gonna come in from Len, as Len takes some damage. Has to back on out, as this is probably gonna have Team Z playing a little bit safer here for a few moments. And like you mentioned, we're probably, if this is not final fight, it is very close to final fight territory.
Yeah, better beat for the defense. Annihilation as well, dissuading D.Va from a commitment. Ult's being traded down here. You're not too upset about that for Team Z, given that you don't really have the best openers. Hanbei trying to build towards that Kitsune rush. That would be the backbreaking potentially for the defenders as they try to stick on this card. But so far, nothing has really evicted Krabi from the objective. You're not able to make any progress for Team Z. And it is Anion getting bursted down, getting finished off through the zone. Time to just trade backlines, trade kills here. Krabi and Nas trying to do just that, trying to make this fight still in contention. As Peace, Peace is going to die here. The respawning BAP should be able to clean him up. Although Painkiller living on 1 HP, that's so painful to be having the enemy tank survive like that. Potentially retakeable though.
Look, Biz gets to the point, it gets a touch, looks like has to back out to go get a health pack, but Onion here.
Oh, he messed up.
Well,
misblinks, and that's going to be so costly. It would have been a desperate touch anyway, but that's a tough L to be taking at this spot. Biz and Nas have managed to roll swap now, but I think both flexible DPS players probably not too upset about this. And the hit scan is so strong on third point. I think Mei really does fall off on third with these big, powerful high grounds. Team Z, though, want to find some more dives.
Yeah, the Mei, you're not going to get as much value. Like, the Mei would have been awesome first point, second point, but nothing really here. You need an Ashe to kind of control that high ground. It also makes it so much harder on Peace to be able to live, especially, trying to move around as the Echo. And Onion, like you mentioned, is the dive target. It's been pretty difficult to keep her up, but also, what can you really do with the D.Va coming through the micro missiles, and then also the focusing beam, right? Very difficult to keep that Baptiste alive. And there's Peace goes in, gets the trade, but look at that. You give up Onion, but you end up getting 2 on the other side.
Yeah, and it's, maybe Onion dies, but Fries in the bag, no one else really took any damage in the engagement, and they're able to trade it out really well, being on defense. they're going to be totally happy to take that kind of a trading fight. And Painkiller, he's got the Diva Bomb, but not too much you can do with that in that comp, especially against Ramatra, who could so easily just kill you when you're in that baby Diva form, and block the bomb himself if he's even in any trouble. So Fries in the bag, switching over to the Kiri, maybe feeling that some of those explosive dives have been working a little too easily. Kiri's a little bit more difficult to catch. Great beat by Mitra, but Team Z haven't been forced to counter ult just yet. Now they bring ults out as the beat ends. Huge opportunity here as Peace on the Ramatra, gonna find the annihilation very soon, and Fries in the bag are sort of losing position here, right? Everyone forced back to the spawn. Peace is absolutely doing his job, but Krawi doing his best holding down the front line won't be enough in the end. As it looks like Fries in the bag, maybe they're crumbling. They have not found picks in this fight, so the attackers at full strength trying to finish this off. Painkiller still has that bomb.
They get a Bob here. The Bob will get on, get a touch. It'll be a self-destruct here that comes in from Painkiller, but he's actually going to fall to the Bob here. As Nas is going to be able to take out two, one with the Bob, one with the gun here, as it looks like Mitra on the point, trying to keep this contested with the Brig, but it looks like Fries in the bag, Jake, might be able to pull it out here in the end. It is a huge Bob. Nas playing it really well, kind of like juggling from the spawn and back, putting down damage, knew how important it was to stay alive to get that Bob out, gets the Bob out, takes out the Diva, and then you got the Brig in the mix. Very difficult for Team Z to do anything at that point, so they get very close to completing the map, but not good enough, as Fries in the back, pretty good hold there towards the end.
Yeah, super close map. I think getting it all the way to the end, right, these last few meters, it does help. Even though you don't full cap, you've got a little bit of wiggle room to work with positionally when it's your turn to defend third point. And as we've seen, I mean, capping first, second, it is not foregone conclusions on King's Row. So Team Z acquitting themselves well, I think, on the dive, do have an opportunity to potentially equalize on their map choice. However, Fries in the bag, I mean, they haven't lost a step. I don't think this has really put them on their heels at all. They found a comp they look good at. And I mean, they've been playing all series long, basically, and they're just adapting it to King's Row. As the manga comes out, interesting. I wonder if this is real or if I'm being debated. I feel like there's a decent odd of being debated.
You could be being debated.
No, I'm being debated, man.
The
There's no way.
offensive side, yeah.
Attack Malgon, surely not. On King's Row against Diva, surely not.
I mean, you never know, right? We did see Reaper in map number one.
That is true.
What do you think of the Diva versus the Winston? We talked a little bit about in the first series, but the Diva so far here on King's Row.
You know, my years of Overwatch experience tells me that Winston does win this matchup in the end at a super high level, especially when there's Briggs on the field, because I think Diva just gets kind of owned by Brig. You just get booped around, and Brig is not really that scared of you, and so there's always proccing, whereas against a Winston as Brig, it's a little harder to get your heals online. But it won't be that matchup. Fries in the bag really liking this explosive brawl style, running the Tracer as well to give themselves a little bit more flanking pressure, a little bit more objective touching potential, and a little bit more aggression, frankly, as they're able to take a position on the point with a very straightforward approach, right? No complicated rotation. They're just starting to cap. Painkiller's already out of armor. Cleanse is forced. Team Z trying to fight back. There's not really any opening so far. Anion does get her drone forced, and that is going to be a kill. See if any trades can come in. Piece is low. And that's the value of the Tracer in this comp.
Yeah, but I mean, without Onion, like, what do you do, right? And it looks like they're going to make their way back on in now, right? But
yeah, attacker spawn's so close. You're not mad at trading that, though. Lucio feeling desperate. Forces this 1v1 with Tracer. Xcal finds a kill elsewhere on the map, though. It could be big. Although Krawi, full HP, cleaning up the enemy tank. That's a bad sign for the defenders.
Yeah, so now you don't have anybody kind of stand toe-to-toe with Krawi here on the tank. It'll actually be Peace going away from the Echo and now going to play the Pharah, actually. Takes out Mitra at the range here. So
a spam kill on the Lucio? That sucks. That's painful.
Yeah, so with the Forest Swamp coming in as well, Nas is going to go and play the Ashe. So some changes all around. The Hanbei using Kitsune Rush, push on in. Nice drone here from Onion, just trying to keep everybody alive here from Fries in the bag. They do get, I believe, the second checkpoint as well. So they do get 2 ticks here. Still 2 minutes and 20 plus on the clock. You're going to have the Ant Matrix here to work with.
Yeah, Anion dealing with this pressure super well, but the burst does come down before the beat can get to her, and without the Baptiste, you've lost a lot of that damage pressure. The beat just enough to get 1 kill. Nas finds a second, and it looks good for the attackers, but Len is trading it back. Len is keeping it in contention, and with that kill, he's going to go for the beat. Krawi, though, wants to keep this in contest. Kiri TPing into the Annihilation, though. That should be a kill on the support. Painkiller dies, no self-destruct available. Attackers finally getting the trades to come in, but this is a scrappy game. I mean, no team is able to win fights decisively the Pharah is a really interesting choice here where, you know, I feel like compared to the Echo, the dive is just a little bit more counterable. Something like a hit scan and you know, a BAP or an Ashe is going to have an easier time fighting a Pharah than an Echo. So, okay, the return to the Echo, maybe a little bit more maneuverable in the sky, a little bit more safe choice here.
Yeah, a lot of changes between these two teams, you know, at the moment. I do like the idea for Fries in the bag, though, to move away from the Mei. I think you know, with how effective Peace has been on the Echo, even in the brief moments on the Pharah, I think you need a really strong kind of counter towards that. You know, vertical, you know, threat. As looks like, look at this, Team Z, they'll kind of wrap all the way around. Nas has this Bob. We could end up in a really odd position where he like kind of like Bob's his own choke here.
The window is going to be a lot, though. Painkiller trying to just sustain on point and stall out, but the cart's getting pulled away from them. The attackers, you know, the map flip I think has not worked here, right?
Weird.
The defenders need to actually fight on car, but they keep getting split at the choke.
The Bob is just deter them from coming through the choke as well. As Painkiller gets extremely weak, there's not enough time for them to wrap like all the way around back towards the high ground. Not everybody can.
And this is a rough sightline to walk through with the defenders in the position they're in. The map flip. Oh, it's not working at all. Biz finds the kill on Hanbei. That was your ult. That was your Kitsune rush. Now it's not going to be available, at least in this team fight. Biz wants more, but it's going to be Mitra who finds the next kill. And I like the concept from Team Z, the idea of flipping the map and stalling it, but it just doesn't work against the Ramatra. You just can't really stand toe-to-toe in the front line and take a long staggered fight with Baptiste, Ashe, Ramatra, just stronger frontline pressure heroes on Fries in the bag.
Am I wrong to think that like if you're going to take that position, if your teams that you need to fight like right away, you can't allow the payload to kind of like get, you know, around?
I think in a mirror match comp, I would have liked it, but I think you're exactly right. Against Ramatra, he's so happy to sit there and trade blows with D.Va, Ashe. Oh, and what a kill from Nas. Gonna open things up. Biz, no one to mark him, opportunity to be aggressive, and they're not even fully respecting this Kitsune rush. I mean, they know how powerful that pick is. They're gonna just wait it out. Kitsune rush over, and now Annihilation into the back line. Beat forced. Excal onto the Widow, trying to clutch, but Mitra, what a much better beat. Very, very late into the fight.
Yeah, really nice beat there from Mitra as it's trying to put Fries in the bag. You know, over the second checkpoint is Onion trying to stay alive. Just
Excal with two
coming in. What? Excal at the spawn, and the Widowmaker takes out two. Pulse bomb connects there on a Cry, but do they have enough to get rid of this Ramatra? It looks like Hanbei coming out. Excal with the Widow swap from the spawn goes absolutely massive.
That is actually a hero swap to the Widow. Such a great spot to go Widow on the retake where you just grapple almost right out of spawn and you're up to the high ground. You can see the point. So it could work out. However, I think the comp is very flawed, to say the least. Like this Widow, now that she's a known quantity and you're like fully aware of her, I think this Widow is going to take a lot of aggression from Tracer, you know, Painkiller onto the Doom. It's an odd comp for Team Z. It's hard, I think, for Widow to really make this work. He's going to have to find some heroic shot on the Tracer or something like that to stay alive.
Yeah, and Fries in the bag also takes away the Baptiste, right? So not an easy kind of like dive target potentially. 4-piece in Painkiller as Nas is built up. This Bob, yet again, it's not really giving Excal any type of sightlines. I think maybe even a little bit worried. This is a nice Bob kind of across, and that's going to put down lots of damage. Look at that. It forces kind of Len back towards Mitra and co. As it'll be Cry takes out Painkiller. A few players quite weak. I think Len in a really difficult spot now for Team Z.
Yeah, and Hanbei not even going to commit the Kitsune here. Knows that this fight's just too difficult. The Widow swap worked out for the retake, but it was just a little bit too difficult. Fries in the bag, I agree. Just did a fantastic job. Just don't give Widow any opportunities. The Bob splits up the defensive formation, and they have no hope. I like the choice to keep the Widow, though. I think on third point, Widow is actually super, super strong. And then they're switched over to the Ramatra as well to be able to slow things down a little bit more effectively for your Widow.
Then we also have a switch to this Nas back to the Mei here. So I don't know if we've actually seen, that's going to be piecing up Biz, but I don't know if we've seen them actually play the Mei in combination without the Baptiste, right? They're playing the Mei with the Kuriko in the mix. So it's like Mei, Kuriko with the Lucio and the Ramatra. So it's a little bit of a different look. Could be just because Onion has the Kitsune rush, right? So wants to get value out of that before potentially switching back to the Bap. But it seems like all the time they've been kind of comboing that Baptiste with the Mei. The Infosight here going to give Team Z and Excal loads of information. They're not going to stop Fries in the bag, though. They're going to use this Kitsune rush to go right around the corner.
But Hanbei has a much later Kitsune perfectly placed. Wait, oh, got to be careful. Painkiller drops super, super low, just throwing one punch in there. pretty much going to be a stagnant reset here, but the Mei is proving to be effective here in the brawl. Annihilation slows the fight down, but beat from Len, it should be too much. Team Z copy as well, charging forward, gonna have the second Annihilation. I mean, the aggression just doesn't stop when an echo copy like this comes out. Gonna be a full cleanup for the defense, fully reset. And I mean, against Widow, that's a scary proposition. You got 20 seconds left. You don't really have the luxury to do a rotation. You don't have the luxury to go clear out a Widow flank. You really, I mean, xCal's gonna have opportunities here. A kill from Widow probably is a map win for Team Z. So a lot of pressure on xCal to deliver, especially with Biz and probably swapping heroes that can get a lot more in his face.
Yeah, it'll be swaps here to D.Va and Genji here for Fries in the bag. They'll get on contest as we move into OTs. Team Z trying to steal map number 2. xCal at range on the Widow, just looking for some heads here, just putting down some good damage down on a Cry. But it looks like Fries in the bag. They're going to end up trying to play here around this sound barrier. There's the sound barrier. They're also going to end up here with a Blizzard in just a second. Everybody from Team Z, they back up when the sound barrier comes in, so you didn't really get much of anything but space. But here's going to be that Blizzard.
Yeah, Painkiller's frozen, but he's so tanky, able to get out of the Blizzard. And xCal over to the Bastion. You count on my Widow, I bring out the Bastion. It's a great swap here. Painkiller cleaning up in overtime. And Team Z getting a map win here on King's Row. Fantastic Widow swap from xCal, and then bringing it back to the Bastion to clutch in overtime. Well played from them. I mean, they had some very inventive moves on this map. I think maybe some of them cooked a little too hard, but in general, they demonstrated an excellent understanding of King's Row and the various ways to approach different points.
I mean, I think xCal was huge there in the second half of the game, right? Where they're getting good kills with the Widowmaker, and then also that Bastion swap there towards the end. You're just like, oh man, where is Crowley taking all this damage from? Like, there's an Annihilation rolling, but shouldn't be dying that quick. It's the Bastion swap, you know, after the Widow not really kind of finding anything, and then the sound barrier comes through, right? So swap off that Widow, get over the Bastion, get into Wheels mode, start putting down loads of damage there as Team Z, they take map number 2.
Yeah, and they put Fries in the bag in just an untenable spot with like this Frankenstein of a comp with a Mei, but then we also have a D.Va and a Genji to go on your Widow. So we're like, are we frontlining? Are we diving the back line? Nobody knows. And when you force your opponent into a spot like that, you got to give credit to Team Z, just having a more masterful manipulation of the comps there. And Peace looking great on the Echo, I've got to say. Like, without, especially with no Baptiste on the field, you really have nothing to answer the Echo, and no hit scan, no Bap. And to be honest, Peace was really paying dividends with the uncontested Echo pick. A lot of these copies were just dominant team fights, snowballing over Fries in the bag and really giving them no opportunity to regroup whatsoever. So really well done from xCal and Peace. The DPS, I think, really being impressive. Even Painkiller, I think I love that he played D.Va most of the map, but then just realized late in the game, you know, hey, it's time to just bring out this Ramatra and just hold the front line down now that my DPS have made these swaps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really you know, made it difficult for the backline here for Fries in the bag to like get anything going, right? With how Peace is playing, you know, kind of coming up above you, whether it be the Echo or the Pharah, and then you know xCal on like the Tracer, the Widowmaker, we see like Reaper, like just multiple different things where you know you want to play this rush style for Fries in the bag, but you just kind of have like no you know support for the backline, where I think it makes it quite difficult, right? You're kind of like playing this Mei. The Mei doesn't really, you know, do anything to that, you know, Echo or Pharah. Same, like you mentioned, Tracer a little bit better, but not like a, you know, a hard counter, like having a hit scan in the mix, where I feel like it's going to force potentially Fries in the bag to kind of move away from potentially this Mei type of playstyle.
Yeah, I mean, Nas looked great on the Ashe when he did bring it out. I think maybe it's just this inexperience in terms of like, what are we going to make these swaps? You know, if anything, the comp that Team Z are playing is a little bit unconventional themselves, right? Playing a D.Va dive on King's Row. In the end, I have favored dive historically on King's Row, or not, at least in the last year or so, it has looked pretty strong, where the rush maybe is a little bit more forced. But at the same token, you know, if you don't execute, if you make any slip-ups, so we saw that map flip attempt that I think was well intentioned, but ultimately not effective for the defenders. So, you know, it can really go both ways on King's Row. And I'm super interested to see where do Fries in the bag take us from here.
Do we see Flashpoint? If you want to play like Rush, like you can play like, you know, a New Junk City, right? If you want to just play, you know, Ramatra head-to-head, like the Mei, I feel like it's not really that great there, but I mean, that's potentially an option. What do you think out of these maps?
It's super interesting. I've always default to like you should just pick escort since there's so much diversity on these maps. There's probably one that you're bad at and one that you're very good at. So Shambali could be an option, right? If you really wanted to play Mei, I feel like Shambali is probably the best map in the pool for Mei, just as like a 1-to-1 on this hero Mei Ram, super strong comps. That'd be my first thought, I guess, for Fries in the Bag, given what they've demonstrated they want to play.
Yeah, it feels like a Shambali or a Flashpoint type of pick where, I mean, yeah, you look at even like the escort maps, like, you just saw XCal and the Widowmaker, like, all of them are pretty, I mean, probably not Shambali, right? But like, Junkertown, Dorado, Circuit, like all like decent Widowmaker maps, right? So I know XCal's popping off on the Widowmaker, and then for the Fries in the Back team, it seems like they're just going to want to play some Rush. So we'll get an idea of where they want to go, but pretty interesting series as far in terms of like, people, teams now playing, exactly kind of these mirror matchups a little bit all over the place. Is it will be
Busan 4 times in a row until the game ends. Well, it will not be that.
He's won map number 2. Map number 2 was King's Row. And we are still waiting for the pick. They cannot pick Busan.
Busan 4 times is my second map pick is Busan 4 times, Matt. You have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's going to be our new rule.
I'm like the little kid who makes up the rules. I'm like, no, I'm allowed to.
Whoever loses map 1 picks the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's a competition to lose control.
Yeah, you'd have just people just jumping off the side. So it is Circuit, so you can play, obviously, you can play some Ram here, but really it's mostly about the Sigma. I think it's going to be interesting to see this Widow head-to-head.
Yeah, I think the Widow head-to-head always is just defining on Circuit Royale. I also think this is an interesting matchup. For me, the Brig style historically has looked stronger than the Zen in the ability to just explosively push, but typically I see that paired with a Genji and not with the Echo. So the Echo coming out, I mean, it's a different way of executing a similar style, but I wonder if it has the oomph, the explosive potential necessary to kill off Zen and Bat, because if you don't kill these heroes, you will slowly lose an extended trade fight if Zen is able to just put down damage.
Yeah, I mean, historically, right, in Overwatch 1, this would be like kind of like a, your shield war, so to speak, right? You're going to lose the battle in terms of like shield output as Piece there just jumps around the corner, just shoots a log down the street and connects with Nas's head. So be an early pick off here for Team Z on defense, where, I mean, the amount of damage output they have, right? Bat Zen with the Hanzo in the mix, I mean, it is just a huge advantage. It's going to be much harder on Cry as Team Z is allowing them to move the card up here to this first corner, and then probably going to kind of like just play from here. So they are giving up some space, though.
I will say, I think the Brig is stronger in this matchup than most people would think. And Nas, what a monster pick onto the Widow. Now the floodgates are open. Opportunity for Imitra and Krabi to push forward, overwhelm the defenders. They do not want to allow them to regroup. They would love a clean cap on first. One more pick from Nas would certainly seal the deal. Hasn't connected it yet. Gonna go for the jump shot. But XCal went back to the Tracer to make this retake happen. Hyundai dying to Biz though. Painkiller as well. And that's gonna be Fries in the Bag with an A cap.
So is the idea that the Brig may be a little bit underrated in this type of composition, because if the fight ends up getting to that first corner where the other team has to step up in kind of that, like, Sigma head-to-head, right? The team with the Brig there also kind of like wailing away has like an advantage. Is that the idea?
Yeah, and then Brig does like deceptively more damage than you would think. All her damage goes through Sigma's shield and Sigma's block. So you're continuing to put down damage, and whenever anybody gets low, you just super aggressively charge in, and Zen just doesn't have that explosiveness, right? His damage is high, but it's only going to come from one spot. He can't really move. He can't really like up the aggression in any way, other than just continuing to walk forward. Trank and Dragon aggressively, but that is an odd choice.
They're body blocking Cry. They're trying to actually kind of like trap Cry, and it does not work.
They do find Biz, though. It's a big pick by XCal, and another one. Okay, so 2 Widow kills. That is enough. But they use Trank for that, and now you're in a spot where, yes, you get a great reset, but you used everything. You're on to Ramatra over the Sigma and XCal. Okay, another one. I mean, if XCal just keeps getting kills for the next 3 minutes and 50 seconds, they'll be good. But there's a lot of pressure on him since the team doesn't really have the tools to fight normally. They need sniper picks.
Fries in the Bag, though, did end up using their rally and their Ant Matrix, though.
Yeah.
You end up kind of like, it looks a little bit funny at the start, right? But some big time ultimates come out from Fries in the back. I guess this will be the Inforsight. It's going to try and buy them some space here. There's a jump shot here from Nos. Been pretty good with the
big flux.
Yeah, that is a very dead Zenyatta there. Is not going to live as Len also trying to hightail it here. Is the Baptiste extremely low. This will be a duplicated Baptiste dropping an Ant Matrix. Going to keep everybody topped up as Fries in the back. Potentially this is their second checkpoint. They'll be in for sight here from XCal, just trying to find any type of pick.
Yeah, XCal's been great so far. Now he's got the Inversight on. Needs one pick. Needs something to stabilize with. Painkiller does have that Annihilation, though. That could be another way to charge forward. Hanbei picks up the Brig, and okay, without the Brig, your front line is going to become extremely vulnerable. Ooh. And Fries in the bag weren't able to secure the kills with their ults. And it is going to be a regroup and a stabilize for Team Z. Running a very unconventional comp now, right? With the Kiri and the Ram. Double sniper.
Yeah, Kiri Bap Ram double sniper. They also win that one without having to end up using their Annihilation, which is quite massive, right? You know, obviously with how close the payload is towards the end, they have the advantage kind of like playing pretty static around the cart if need be. This will be a Dragon that gets sent down, trying to just split the other team off. So it doesn't look like they're actually able to do so. But, you know, having Ant Matrix plus your Annihilation for this next fight should be a win here for Team Z as Fries is in the bag. I think they're trying to build towards an Ant Matrix of their own. I think they're just letting Onion farm that ultimate. I think they're letting Cry kind of like build up towards his gravitic flux. And then I think they want to take like one more really good crack at it.
Yeah, I mean, the Lucio is a really wise choice here, though, right? Because if Ramatra can't catch you, he can't do much of anything. And so Ramatra is going to be able to speed out a lot of these ultimates, whether it's the Matrix or the Matrix, whether it's the Annihilation, you know, or even the Kitsune Rush. The Lucio could just speed you out. So, yes, you're going to Kitsune Rush, but it's all flux and opportunity here to fall back. XCal, though, another critical. I mean, he's been saving his team time and time again on this Widow. It's always XCal with the opener, so I guess it doesn't matter what comp you're playing if your Widow clicks the head.
And those are the two ultimates I was talking about that they were kind of saving towards, right? They use Onion's, Ant Matrix to kind of force them back into that corner, and then they use the Flux because they obviously know all those players are there. But it goes for nothing. I mean, XL just so good on the Widowmaker, really the difference maker on King's Row on the Widow. And then, you know, the map pick comes in, and that just allows the show to continue pretty much as you're going to have an Inversight, plus you're going to end up having this Annihilation where Team Z in a very good spot potentially get this hold right before the second checkpoint.
Yeah, and there's no way around the Ramatra here. You've got the dislodge Painkiller, but he's going to get so much heals from this double flex support comp. And if you really try to go past him, he's going to pop that Annihilation, and someone like Anion is going to have a really tough time progressing through the map. And XCal so safely tucked away in the back here, so hard to shut down. Doesn't find the kill onto the Kiri. So opportunity here for Biz to charge another ultimate.
Oh, he's so weak.
Oh, he's getting bursted.
Yeah, I mean, nothing Crawley could do there. Just kind of gets run down there with the Annihilation. The Annihilation still rolling. Takes a Biz out of the duplicate here as it's like just a few players alive.
Yeah, Team Z,
in the bag.
They know they can finish this here and now, and that's exactly what they want to do. Oh, Dragon on the spawn.
What?
Catches Onion. I mean, it's a long straight line spawn that you're probably just having to run out of there. Tracer desperately touching. Is gonna get the overtime tag, so it's still in contention. Ramatra's here too, but so many players alive for the defenders. Even the beat comes down. You gotta find kills with this beat though. It's not enough to just delay. Defenders are gonna be back in force, still all 5 alive. So as much as you've been able to stall this out, are you really keeping this in contention? Not quite, as Team Z, with the end of second point hold, gonna be feeling pretty good about how Circle Royale went. Playing a very unconventional style, but man, XCal did deliver on that Widow.
I feel like it's been the entire series for them, playing a little bit of an unconventional style of play.
True.
Where
this is the team that brought you Reaper Echo.
Yeah, from
the brilliant minds that brought you Reaper Echo.
It's like a movie preview. Yeah. It's like people would be running out of the theaters. No, I'm kidding, but they look. I mean, it's got to be really difficult to play against, right? It's a little bit of a different kind of setup. The double sniper with like a double flex support they had there for a little bit with a Ramatra in the mix. So definitely giving Fries in the bag some trouble. I think so. you just played a game of King's Row, right? Where the other team, like, you know, XCal obviously has a great performance on the Widow. I mean, you know, you have a good Widow on your side, right? But I do find it a little odd to just continue to let the hot hand continue to keep going, playing that Widowmaker yet again. Not saying it's like, you know, one person kind of like, you know, carrying the way here for Team Z, but, you know, XCal definitely making a difference.
It is definitely a statement, right? To go up against somebody who just brought out the Widow, just looked good on it, and then take him to a Widow map. You know, it's a high confidence play. But in the end, XCal was like, yeah, okay, I've been just warmed up on the Widow. Like, let's go to Circa. Let's see what happens. And, you know, the Brig didn't fully work out there. I think the swap to Ram looked good against the Brig, was able to punish her and deny her any of that aggression. And the Echo from Biz wasn't really able to find the same connections that we've seen Peace get on Echo, let's say, throughout this series.
It feels like the Echo for Price in the bag. Like, you need to be able to deal with the backline. It's all right. So now we're going to have Hanzo Echo with the Ramatra, and then the BAP and the Lucio. What do you think about this count?
Such an interesting choice to run Echo Hanzo. I don't mind the Ramatra Lucio and trying to rush over that Sig and like run him down, but you don't have a DPS like a Sim or like a Mei that would really enable that. So it's going to be, in the end, Team Z with these like poking DPS and yet a brawling front line. To be honest, I can't make heads or tails of some of their comps so far, but it is 1-1 in the series, and it's looking like they might go up 2-1. So I don't want to criticize them too much, as they may be winning this here. Should be really difficult though, without any like brawling DPS, to actually get through a Sigma and a Brig in the front line.
Yeah, I mean, it's just got to be about the damage output there of the Hanzo, and actually they deal with Biz, so early first pick off. If the Hanzo can start landing some of these, you know, storm arrows and whatnot at range, that allows the Echo to get a little bit more aggressive, but that's going to be an answer back from Nas. But XCal yet again connecting at these long range headshots with whether it be the Hanzo now, playing the Hanzo now, but formerly on the Widowmaker. I mean, just looking tremendous as storm arrows into Cry. They're doing a nice job keeping Cry up, so this isn't a first point take just yet, as Team Z, they don't really kind of have that firepower, like you mentioned, get around the corner, fight this Brig.
Now the Annihilation speed boosting into the backline, Anion desperately trying to kite away, and that fallback ends up costing Krawi his life. So the Annihilation ends up being the tool they need to overwhelm this front line as well. I mean, XCal, massive picks on that Hanzo, right? Like a few critical kills. I think any one of those doesn't come in, and I mean, look how stable Krawi looked in that corner. I think that could have been a hole without XCal's heroics. So well done by Team Z, showing that even with an unconventional style, they know how to play to their outs, right? They're still playing to the best potential possible with the heroes they're running.
Well, now Nas now says, hey, that looks kind of fun. I'm going to play the Hanzo myself. So they'll play Hanzo Tracer, so a little bit more kind of conventional, I guess, like as what you've seen before, with Hanzo set up. But Team Z in a spot, they're one good fight away from taking a 2-1 lead in the series. This will be a dragon here that's going to actually have the immortality field come out and the rally.
That's a great immo from Eddie on keeping the rally alive. I mean, I think that rally would have died to the dragon without the field being put down there. So well done. In the end, it's just a 1-for-1, but you're pretty happy as Team Z, right? Trading dragon for rally. I mean, you'd make that trade any day of the week.
Rally and Flux, right? They end up using the Flux there as well, I believe.
And saving the beat now for the opportunity to get really aggressive. This time it's Biz onto the Mei. Okay, so we are playing Mr. Heroes officially, Matt. We got the roll swap on DPS. That's how you know it's getting crazy. Maybe they feel that with the beat online, they're just too scared of that overwhelming rush, and they need one more tool to slow things down. Team Z gonna copy the Mei, though, and bring it onto their own side. Now they're playing, ironically, a much more conventional comp with the Mei.
Yeah, so they do end up losing Len, though, so not gonna have the sound barrier to use here potentially, but the Blizzard gonna get chucked in there. It looks like it doesn't really kind of go for much of anything here. Looks like you're gonna have to wait here for Team Z. You're gonna have to get everybody back off the respawn. You're gonna wait for Peace. You're gonna get Len back in the fight here. The sound barrier is so important here towards the end. No big support ultimate of sustain on the other side.
An opportunity for this beat to run things over, but it's so difficult. It's not easy to get on top of a Sigma Brig BAP. I mean, such a defensible front line. Team Z in the setup phase, they're taking tons of pressure from that Hanzo. Have to stay healthy, have to stay cautious. Maybe a Dragon Strike could be the go sign, could be the opportunity, but I mean, Fries in the Bag are doing a fantastic job of keeping this defensive pressure hot and heavy, making it hard to get a clean setup for an offensive fight. Dragon Strike could be the opener that they need, though. Here it is online, ready for XCal to split potentially the backline away. but that Sigma is standing strong. He's holding the front line well. The Amp Matrix going to come into support. Now it's speed. Now it's coming over the top. Hanbei with this Kitsune Rush as well, 99%, and the Annihilation. It's too much. Defenders can't even come to the cart. Beautiful layering by Team Zero to close out here in the end.
Yeah, I mean, just tremendous, right? They, they end up having the Annihilation there towards the end. They have the sound barrier. They push on through. They also had a Kitsune Rush if they needed, and they just push Fries in the bag, just all to the point. There's no way that they can kind of stand and contest. So Team Z doing some unorthodox things in terms of comps, some things we typically don't see. But making it work here is they go up 2-1, where now for, Fries in the bag, I mean, you're in a difficult spot, right? Do you play like a push, or do you go to like a flashpoint where I think you're going to see probably just like rush style of play where, Kings Row, they were able to do a nice job, Team Z, kind of playing around that. So take a look at some of the highlights here, from this second map, Circle Royale. So,
I mean, I can understand why Fries in the Bag picked this map, right? I think they're clearly comfortable on the poke style. I think Nos did look great on the Widow, but XCal just went toe for toe, just too consistently, too effectively, arguably getting the best of that backline hit scan duel on the map. And then this, unique style with the Echo, it absolutely worked. Honestly, for both teams, right? Both teams looking good with those Echo copies. But in the end, the Lucio proved to be devastating in the final fight, right? Like the ability to just swarm over the top. You cannot escape the Annihilation when you're at a speed disadvantage against your opponent. And I mean, Painkiller really knew how to push his advantage in some of these spots.
Well, you also end up having the sound barrier at the end as well, right? So you end up getting the sound barrier plus the speed plus the Annihilation. There's no way you can fight that in that instance. There is take a look here towards the later stages of the game, as that's going to be the dragon that we were saying that's going to like split them kind of off, and looks like they're just maybe waiting even for Painkiller. Yeah, they get that sound barrier around the corner, then they get the speed, and Painkiller's in a perfect spot here with this Annihilation. Goes right over the top of the wall there, and nothing they can do is obviously a little bit of a surprise probably for Fries in the Bag. Expected to come in here potentially win this series against Team Z. Probably there's some more kind of household names, particularly on Fries in the Bag. The Team Z putting together some really interesting comps, and they're just one map away from taking it.
And there's something to be said for being the team that's willing to innovate, right? Being the team that's willing to play a style that other teams haven't practiced, haven't prepared, because you get to prep that. You get to practice how you're going to execute this unconventional style. But your opponents, maybe they've never seen it before, and maybe they slip up. Maybe they're out of position more than they ought to be because you're innovating, right? And that's your advantage, I think, for Team Z. Maybe sometimes they're cooking a little bit too much, but you can't fault them for bringing out these new looks that are effective. It's not just throwing anything at the wall, right? They're playing a unique, different style, but they know when they've got the right skills, right ultimates to put together, they are making those combinations work, and they're fantastically aggressive in the moments where it's called for.
Yeah, Team Z looks pretty strong right now. Fries in the Bag just searching for some answers. We'll give them some time here to pick their map number 4, map they absolutely need to win. We'll see it on the other side of this quick break. Welcome back. It's Matt Mistrix and Jake in your comms, and this is Coliseo. Push coming up here, selected by Fries in the Bag. Jake, what do you think about this selection?
I can't disagree with it. I think the BAP is going to be strong here. That's looked to be anyone's wheelhouse. Could even see a BAP Brig style. Even the Sigma could be good. Interested to see Coliseo, because I think now with that change to the verticality of the push bots contest, you can just push the cart under the bridge. There's no more that like cheesy stand on top of the bridge as a Ramatra and stall tank for 30 or stall the bot for 30 seconds. You actually have to get down in the low ground and brawl. And I think that means maybe these like brawl comps that just force the card and play low ground might be stronger, because they can't just be like stalled out forever by a high ground character. So this could really change the meta on that Coliseo in particular.
The Roadhog here, the Roadhog Venture Widow.
Yeah, the Roadhog Venture Widow is definitely the next strat in Team Z strat book.
We would have instituted drug testing, I think.
I like
in the bag.
I like Fries in the Bag here, to be honest. I think this comp should really benefit, in the end the middle won't be really changed by this, but that bridge fight should hurt Dive. It should Dive used to be better at stalling the card.
They have had difficulty though dealing with this Echo throughout the series though. So I'm looking at Peace here for Team Z is
Oh my god, the mech is gone.
Instantly. That's the power of the Mei, right? You just get a nice Mei wall down and nothing you can do to kind of keep the Diva up. So could be a potential bot movement here for Fries in the bag. It looks like Painkiller will still stay on the Diva for now, but interesting enough, Jake, Onion actually just moves away from the BAP right away. So gonna play Moira.
Yeah, I mean, they were clearly hard focusing her with these dives, which makes sense on BAP. Maybe Moira can dodge that a little bit better. I don't love the choice, though. I think Moira's just not a strong hero against Diva in particular. Biz, that's a critical kill, but it seems like Team Z has done just enough here, right? Especially with the Moira being late to the engagement, right? Like returning back. Maybe the Moira's picked as like just a let me get back fast and like get back to the fight since it was still kind of continuing on. Very curious to see if she stays on it because I do think the Moira, since you can just eat the heal orb, it really hurts in this matchup since Diva, for me, is just kind of a hard counter to Moira. Maybe it'll be enough. Maybe it could change things. Oh, but Len kills Nas. Oh no, things are going from bad to worse. The pressure that Peace and Excal are applying is kind of getting to Fries in the bag. Is in the end, they are running a comp that has to kind of run the gauntlet. I mean, look at this great setup for Team Z, surrounding from all angles.
They're in a fantastic spot to just kind of collapse. I mean, look at that. Biz in a very difficult spot. They end up kind of healing Biz up, but just taking so much damage on the walk up. I mean, look at Craw, as well, trying to power block, run away.
It's not happening. I mean, this Moira just isn't really able to heal through the aggression. Kitsune Rush comes through. Nas forced to ice block in a compromised position. The team is going to get him to safety, but we should see a first point cap here. And Team Z, I mean, I don't think they've even really shown us their full strength, right? They still have the Sound Bearer. They still have Copy and Diva Bomb. And honestly, for Fries in the bag, I don't see how you actually connect and force an engagement. Feels like it's always going to be Team Z going first. Always going to be Team Z attacking.
Yeah, I mean, what do you really do, right? The faster these fights go, it's going to be way better for Team Z. It's going to be a duplicated Ramatra here. It's going to get an Annihilation that comes on through. So Painkiller ends up using the self-destruct, not going to get one with it, but it's going to be the rest of the team coming up with some kills. It's going to be Peace getting out to the sky yet again. They've had no answer for the Echo all series long. It feels like obviously extremely hard doing it playing the Mei as consistently as you want. So they'll actually match the Echo Tracer now. They'll match the backline, but they're going to kind of continue with this Ramatra, potentially just to use the Annihilation.
I'd like to see the mirror here, Matt. Yeah, I agree. I hope they just pop the Annihilation, win a fight, and then go to the mirror. Because at this point in the series, your back's against the wall, right? You're facing elimination. You cannot afford to lose this. At least go out on the mirror where you know that strategically you're not being outmatched. At least you're guaranteeing that it's about our individual skill, which is honestly, it's the way I'd rather, win or lose, the way I'd rather go in the end.
But with how much progress Team Z has gotten, right? They have 2-3 fights, before they even have to worry about Fries in the bag taking a lead. So Cry will use the Annihilation, just trying to push in. So it'll be Excal just trying to get a touch here. Is that Annihilation doesn't really do anything outside just putting down a little bit of damage. But Hanbei and Co, they're going to come back here with this Kitsune Rush, see how fast they're going to move on through. Nobody gets quite weak, though, for Fries in the bag. Fries in the bag able to kind of kite all of this, but more time that goes off the clock. And the bot just kind of sits here at mid-map. It's just better for Team Z.
Yeah, you don't mind it, though, right? Getting out that Kitsune Rush, 6 minutes on the clock, but Nos gets bursted down, caught without his flight cooldown. And now it's a scrappy trading engagement. Imitra trades onto Len, and having 2 supports alive is a big advantage in this type of an engagement. Echo overextending, potentially thought he could get that kill. It looked good to me, but the save came in from Anion and Imitra, and having that second support alive made all the difference.
And yeah, as Onion lands a really nice cleanse there on a Cry, which ends up keeping Cry alive as he's getting focus beamed down. So after about a minute or so, it'll be Fries in the bag getting control of the bot yet again. This might be a little bit of a window here, though. They do have their own Kitsune Rush. They're going to have a duplicate here. They gotta get good value out of these.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush onto the point, gonna force a full retreat out of Team Z, which may have been necessary here with Diva's ability to just kind of stall the cart indefinitely, but it's not what you want. It's not the decisive team fight engagement. And Hanbei picks off Anion with a quick headshot. Diva as well as targeted Nos, kills him at 97 on the copy. That's a painful death.
And even if there's kills to go down here for Fries in the back, they're just gonna take the cart and run away.
Yeah, the bot has been ran away. And I mean, this is exactly the type of fight you want when you have a big lead on push. Just scrappy trades. It's always gonna favor the game on your side of the map. you push the car back here, but you're not even really committed to this progress, right? You're happy to just take this same fight over and over and over again. And to be honest, I think Ramatro's a bit of a liability here without the ability to get into the enemy high ground. You know, you can't chase down the enemy Echo piece. He has a very unfair advantage over the enemy Echo when he's got a D.Va able to protect him.
This will be a Kitsune rush here from Hanbei and Team Z as they want to push the aggression. Will be a duplicate here from Nas onto the D.Va here. So wants to use the defense matrix here to try and help the rest of the team. Sound barrier that comes through here for Fries in the bag. It's going to be Len's sound barrier here as well for Team Z. It's a self-destruct potentially here available for Painkiller. That's going to be the one from Nas. Painkiller end up using the self-destruct, just trying to get a new mech back.
Oh, and Kwame got caught by the self-destruct in the room and gets bursted. Fries in the bag, desperate. I don't think they might not get a reset here. It's going to be close yeah, probably going to swap over to the D.Va. Is it too little too late? Painkiller wants to get kills, but doesn't really want to risk his life given that they already have the lead. No need to take a big risk.
I mean, this is where it's brutal to fall behind and push early on, right? You just spent about 3.5 minutes just mid-map essentially for Fries in the bag, getting absolutely zero progress. And Team Z now just has you in a position where I mean, what you basically have to win every fight from here on out to give yourself a chance to win it. I mean, you see the contests here underneath from Painkiller and co. They're gonna back up. Now we're gonna get another fight mid-map.
I do think Nas has the opportunity now with the D.Va on his squad to really go toe-to-toe with Peace and really show if he can be the better Echo. And I think that is the opportunity to basically come back in the series. If you can start winning those air duels. Early rush from Anion gets kind of baited out here with every cooldown ready. Team Z perfectly escapes that fight and really didn't force much of anything other than the speed amp. Yeah, very, very defensive. And the counter rush comes in. Same story, the full kited, but oh, Nos gets caught. Beautiful boop. Len snuck in behind the Echo, booped him out. That was fantastic. What a play from the Lucio there. Catches the enemy Echo sleeping, and the follow-up is beautiful. And yeah, I mean, honestly, if anything, Fries in the bag, they're looking a little bit telegraphed right now, right? That rush was just very early, very, to be honest, very forced. Maybe you're feeling that pressure as you're behind, but now you're in a spot where you're getting further behind.
You feel like you kind of have to make something happen, right? So you end up using that Kitsune rush, but it's very easily kiteable for Team Z. And then Team Z, with their aggression, they come right back. They use a Kitsune rush as well. You kind of have to play in that position if you're Fries in the bag. No way to kind of avoid it is now you're in a difficult spot, right? You end up using the sound barrier. You probably don't have another opportunity to use one, right? So for Yumitra, it has to be a very difficult decision on what to do. But maybe now after Cry takes out Peace, you feel like you definitely don't have to invest it.
Yeah, it should just be a regroup, right? The copy is enough to win the fight, but this is a throwaway fight for Team Z, right? They're, oh, great. We get a couple meters of progress, and we take a reset. It's a late death by XCal, though. It could maybe get this choke point that has been so far the kryptonite for Fries in the bag. Now, at least they're going to be able to move through that, but a lot of ults for Team Z. They've got all the tools they could possibly hope for here to slow the game down, stagnate progress. It's up to the DPS now, frankly. It's all about Fries in the bag, Nos and Biz getting some kind of edge on the flank that then translates into a later kill on a supporter or a forced ultimate.
Yeah, they're trying to play now for getting the Kitsune rush, so they do end up building it here for Fries in the bag, but last you just kind of like sit here mid-map, just exchange damage. Kills being traded out here for both teams, though, is having that Kitsune rush going to be massive here for Fries in the bag. Should be able to put this away, but it's still going to just buy some time here for Team Z. Maybe you can kind of stagger some players out. No, not entirely. So you do get a fight win here for Fries in the bag. They'll end up holding on to this sound barrier yet again, so just kind of highlighting that. But Team Z's going to have an opportunity, Jake, to just, if they want to hold even for another fight after this one, right? You can get all 5 ultimates, just hold on.
Yeah, they're playing to just stagnate the game here, but I wouldn't mind them trying to win a team fight. I mean, at this point, 20 seconds left, maybe the next 3 or 4 seconds, we will see probably an attempt to open the game up. But if you have a nice defensive position here, you're confident on DPS, you don't necessarily need to force anything.
No, it was Biz and Pulse. Oh, Nos gone. And they deal with Nos in the sky before you can get the benefits of the sound barrier. Kitsune rush here now used here for Team Z. Oh. Self-destruct up in the sky. That is 2, and that is Team Z, Jay, closing it out. They looked fantastic here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful map from them. The dives were incredibly effective, and I thought the Mei would look a little bit better, but it did not. You know, Peace being free on the Echo, I think we've seen in this series is just not something you can let happen. Team Z run away with it off the back of monster performances from a team that cooked some wild stuff this series, brought it back, I think, into a more of a stable place by the end, but they looked fantastic on anything they played.
I liked it. They were cooking up some interesting stuff, making it really difficult for Fries in the Bag to deal with. Fries in the Bag definitely want to come in, play some Mei type of stuff, and that was not working out.
You know what I love about those unconventional comps we've seen though? Like, it wasn't them just like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if something sticks. They knew the win conditions of those respective comps. Like, they know how to execute. They knew exactly how to react to any kind of changes coming out from the opposition. And quite frankly, they tried their best to somehow adapt to what Team Z was actually throwing their direction. And while some of it may have been overcooked, looking at you here, and Mei and Reaper joining the fray there as well, it was everything is still fine because I felt like a winner just getting to see that somehow.
Reaper Echo Diva may be throwing something at the wall. That might be just being like, you know what? I think they're gonna play Sim. Let's just play Reaper Echo and end up working on that round. But I mean, this is look. Fries in the Bag. They looked good on control, right? They end up taking that one, but after that, I really felt like, for me, probably the player of the game was like Peace, right? Like being able to kind of like, use that Echo and just really no answer on the other side.
I think the DPS from Team Z really impressed me. Not only, I mean, Peace on the Echo really was fantastic. Great copy, is like almost never getting caught off. Always being the one to catch. But yeah, exactly. Xcal on the Widow, on the Hanzo, on Circuit, on the Tracer. Just incredible depth and flexibility that the team, that there's the reason you're even able to play these crazy comps, because you have a player like Xcal who can flex to whatever you need, right? You got some wild idea, like, I'm going to play Hanzo. You're like, I got you, bro. And it delivers.
I mean, that's the thing. The Pixie did there, or rather the hero Pixie had there. Those are very high risk, high reward kind of picks, because if you're picking those Widowmakers, for example, like, if you're not getting the picks necessary, then that's a throwaway pick. So there's a lot of pressure riding on those individual players in order to make those composition works. A lot riding on him, and Xcal did not falter under that pressure. He performed time and time again on those more extra picks. So really overall, fantastic performance from him and Peace there.
They're a really exciting team. They're really fun to watch, right? I know they just kind of like amp up the pressure, the pace they play. Just seems to be a little bit of a different style than some of the other teams we've seen, at least here in NA, and is quite refreshing to see it. So, Peace got the player of the match. Look at that.